In the next video here, I'm going to go ahead and do some narration instead of the music because I think a lot of stuff's already been covered about the fence. But let's go ahead and take a look at one picture here at a time. If you remember, this is the concrete footing where the metal is that is protecting the wood from the other side, because my neighbor put a lot of dirt back there and raised that area, and it's putting a lot of pressure on the fence also. And of course, any water that would come from that side down the hill would come out in this area. We're going to have to keep that in mind. The fence, I got one last section to build. And then of course, where the metal was, I thought I would reinforce it by putting some boards into the ground. And I'm not using pressure treated lumber here. I don't know how long this is going to last. If I have a board that rots out, I can simply replace it, no biggie. And then this is kind of pushing it up tight against here, tight against the metal so that I can backfill everything. A view from the other side, our little cat there. He is no longer with us. He was a little too active, ran out in the street one day. Now, I need to add some concrete to this post, and you'll see that here in a little bit, but that's why we have some of the soil pulled away from the fence. Everything's looking good. Here are some of the old post footings that are pulled out of the ground. The last section of the fence again that needs to be built, and I'll have a video on that, and I think I have 2 more videos and that will be the end of that. And I have my string here tied to the post so I can figure out where I want to put the footing, connected to the other side where the new fence is going to intersect into the old fences there back in the corner. So here we can figure out you're using the string line. You can simply measure over to find the center or the desired location of your footing. Threw some gravel in the bottom. Set the post, brace it off. And of course I have the top rails installed. Everything is ready for the concrete. Start pouring the concrete. Again, we're using our cardboard forms. They seem to work well for situations like this, and I would suggest, highly recommend using something like this if you're going to build a fence. And of course, this is the post that needs to be raised. I'm just going to raise the concrete, so there will be a cold joint in here where water can actually seep into here and be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be a problem, because the soil here is on the side of a hill. So if this was like in a valley instead of at the edge of a hill where water can simply work its way out of the soil on the side of the hill, doesn't really have a place to get trapped. So I don't think I'm going to be too worried about that. But again, if I just leave it like this and then backfill it with soil, then it's going to rot out even faster. So I'm just kind of adding a little protection there, or at least something that is going to be better than nothing, kind of a deal. And again, we're using our cardboard, simply going to backfill the soil around it as we're filling it with concrete. And you can see where the concrete is starting to be placed there. And of course our other footing where the last section of the fence needs to be built. Now let's go to the other side of the fence here. You can see where I have the concrete kind of coming up to the metal. You're going to have to, if you're going to do something like this, you're going to have something. If you leave the concrete below the metal, then you're going to have all of the soil from up here kind of getting in between that area also. And I just went ahead and threw a little more concrete in this area because it's going to get filled with soil, I'm sure. I won't have any control once I'm done with the fence here. My neighbor can come in and fill the area, and he's not somebody who does a lot with this section of the backyard. So as long as he's not watering the fence here, watering the stuff, this thing could last a lot longer than even I'm expecting. But again, this is kind of a test using that metal. I don't know how well it's going to do there. It's not a real thick metal even though it's galvanized. So view of the fence again, everything looking nice and straight. Cardboard form on the other side. Just gonna kind of pick up the pace here. I did have a couple of bad boards like this. I went ahead and used them anyway. When I went down to pick up some of the lumber, my neighbor just grabbed a bunch and threw it in there. So I figured, what the heck? And it's a fence. I'm not gonna worry about it. So I'm pretty sure I used that stuff down on the bottom also. Didn't use it on the top. And of course the cardboard form removed. Nailed in the bottom rails. Everything's looking good. And I do have a video on installing this last section, giving you an idea of what I was measuring there. 16 inches. That's probably the top of the fencing. I don't have my string set up there yet, but I was using my string. If you watch some of the earlier videos, I was using my string and then measuring down to get the top of the footing heights so that the bottom of my fencing boards would actually sit on top. I wouldn't have to notch that section. And again, there are the 6-foot boards. Definitely a time-saving method and something that's going to make your fence look a little nicer. Also, again, 16 inches. There it is from the top, 14.5 inches. And there's our string set. Installing the one side. And then at the corner, I didn't bother ripping a piece of fencing down. I just nailed another one tight against here and screwed it in the back. You know, again, if this was going to be something that people were going to be looking at every day, then I could have ripped the last piece in there. But this is behind my neighbor's tree. Like you can see it here. There's a tree here. And this should give you a better idea of what I'm talking about here. Fence on the other side. Just kind of running through everything. Backfilled the soil here to kind of give you an idea too of what it's going to look like. I'm not saying that this is going to be the finished project, part of it, but I kind of put some dirt here so that I could create a little valley here for the water to go down. But again, once my neighbor gets back there, he could change everything. And you could see here where any water that gets in here is going to be coming down here pretty fast once it gets into this area. But as I'm making this video, it is December 7th, a year later. And I'm finishing up this series of videos. Some people didn't take much of an interest in it, so wasn't really worried about it. But I wanted to finish it. And we haven't had any heavy rains yet, so I don't have any, I can't compare it, I can't provide you with any info on that. And I will put other videos in here as, take a look at this one here. That one's going to have to go up against a wood post. If you do have any bent boards like this, I actually had a couple when I was working on it, building the fence. And if you want to just say you can replace them, or take and put this one here up against wherever the wood post is. That's a pretty good one. You could just put it right here. You would use it right here. And, you could always remove this one and replace. You could exchange them also. Just something else to think about. Installing the other part of the fence. And this is going to bring us to the end of this slideshow here. Fence is completed. I will make 2 more videos. I'm pretty sure I just have 2 more small videos, and that will complete this series.